All right, now to our first conversation. Data from the Nigerian Communications Commission, that's the NCC, shows that data usage dipped at a record 1 million terabytes in January to 893,000 terabytes in February. Picked up again in March, reaching about 995,876 terabytes. So we've seen some kind of change there. Normally, there's a peak in March that trumps what we see in January, but the data has not seen that happen again as it did in 2024. Is it because of the price hike? Some analysts have said it's because of that. So definitely when price goes up, usage or consumption kind of finds its way down. All right, let's talk to Aisha Abdulaziz, our guest this morning. She's a CEO, Legend Internet PLC, joining me from our Abuja studio. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So first of all, congratulations. You're the new kid on the block talking about the latest listings on the NGX. And, you know, some would say Legend Internet PLC, came from nowhere and they're listed on the stock exchange. Is that the case?
So thank you, Williams, for the question. I will say that is not the case. Legend has been in Abuja for 3 years. Definitely, we're not national. And one of the reasons we've gone to the capital market is to become national. So while we're not new, we are coming out to the nation now.
All right. So, definitely congratulations again. And, we know you've been in business for a while now. So let's get to the issues, on ground. Now, we're seeing that data from the first quarter. And that's when we had, the providers, had the go-ahead to raise tariffs. And we've seen that, implemented. But usage, dropped, from January into March, even though normally March we see some kind of uptick that kind of trumps what we had in January, but that's not the case now. But how would you assess the current state of, internet penetration in Nigeria? And what are the key factors driving or limiting growth?
Right. So I view internet penetration in Nigeria in two perspectives. One is obviously the mobile penetration. I think mobile penetration is extremely high. Nigeria is leading Africa at the moment in terms of mobile penetration, and mobile players have done really well in ensuring this penetration. Then you now have true broadband penetration, which is where we now have a lower penetration in the market. And as you earlier saw in the statistics, mobile data, it's limited. There's a limit to how much you can consume when you're on the move. However, true broadband is also unlimited, which is where we are trying to push the focus and push the Nigerian market into. So that's why you see data usage with the increase in prices currently going on with the mobile players and other players in the industry. You're going to see a lot less people managing their money and their data usage. But with true broadband, that is not really a concern. For us at Legend, we're not increasing our prices. We're sticking to our current prices, and our products are unlimited internet. So one of the key drivers of internet growth are two major things. One is technology advancement. Technology advancements like AI, machine learning, automation applications that you have online, they need internet or bandwidth to provide those services. Then you now have consumer behavior on the other hand, which is also led by technology advancements. So consumer behavior drives internet usage. For you to access any of the applications that is being provided, you need internet. Whether it's social media you're accessing, whether it's your phone app, bank app that you're accessing, all of them drive consumer growth for internet. Then you also have, obviously, one of the major factors limiting internet growth is also infrastructure, internet infrastructure in the country. We have very good infrastructure in terms of submarine cables and also national fiber. That's domestic fiber. On the other hand, the metro and last mile, which delivers the internet to the consumers, there's a low penetration there. And this is where Legend Internet is trying to, increase in the market.
Yeah, I guess a lot has to be done when it comes to, infrastructure, maintenance and all of that, and investment, most especially. But, we've heard, internet access, directly, contributes to, the GDP and overall economic development in most economies. So when you have a case where, internet gets more expensive, and, we don't know if this is the last hike, or maybe there'll be more hikes, going forward when it comes to prices. Do you think prices will keep going up, and, definitely that might turn into a negative, for economic development in Nigeria?
So I think prices, it's a factor of multiple things, obviously. Well, for the telecoms industry, we're heavily regulated in terms of prices. I think this is our first price increase in 13 years that has been approved. And in 13 years, if you look at the economy, a lot of changes, a lot of even the devaluation, inflation that has happened in the country in the last 13 years. So for that, definitely you're going to see a lot of increase. But in terms of growth, internet has come to stay. It's no longer a luxury. It's almost a right in every part of the world actually now, because everything we do requires internet, whether it's education, whether it's learning, working, anything. So internet is driving digital economy as we speak now. So everything we do, so definitely we're going to see an increase in internet usage going forward.
All right, so looking
and that
at
will have an impact in the GDP.
Right, looking at internet usage, we've seen some households switch to more like fiber internet service providers, and with the fiber, we noticed that most of the time your internet usage or your data, it mostly gets you to the end of the month, unlike, when you're using other, service providers that's not, fiber, that could end, before your subscription could be over, before the end of the month. So what is it about fiber that, allows your internet usage gets you to the end of the month, unlike, other service providers?
It's capacity. So a lot of the reason why fiber broadband is preferred is because it's unlimited. You have that capacity that you have it anywhere directly inside your house. So it's built into the home. On the mobile side, you have maybe towers and whatnot that have a certain capacity they can take, and that's shared between multiple people. So you cannot have, you have now data restrictions on there. But if you're using fiber, there's no data restriction. It's unlimited internet. So unlimited, all you're doing is just paying for the month, and you can use as much internet as you want. You can use 20 terabytes if you can, and you can use 1 terabyte, 100 gig. So it's up to you to utilize what you want to utilize when you're on fiber.
Right, and do you think, maybe fiber, could get cheaper, going forward? Or is that too much to expect?
It's not too much to expect, but definitely at the moment, fiber is reasonably priced. I think all providers, like from us, we start from 21,000 and goes upward monthly. And if you're getting unlimited internet for those type of prices, I believe if you look at it, it's like maybe $13, $15 a month. Eventually, the economy, and that's actually very cheap internet. So it's not terribly expensive, and we expect to see as time goes on with efficiency and whatnot. We at Legend, we want to maintain our prices. We're not going to increase our prices because we understand the need for more consumers and more Nigerians to utilize the service.
All right, talking about urban and rural areas, definitely we know the urban side of things, gets most of the services, easier than the rural areas. So talk to me about bridging that digital divide, between the urban and rural areas. How are you seeing any growth, in that segment?
Okay. So on the urban side, you have to understand, obviously, a lot of investors would prefer to go into urban areas because you get returns from urban areas. On the rural side, we will need policies, right? Government policies to help bridge that divide because what you have is that the rural areas do not have as much spending power as the urban areas. So for any investor, when they go into the market, they're trying to make a return. And so if you go into a rural area where your returns are lower, you would need an incentive to move into those locations. So what you have is policies, whether it's on the corporate side. So for us, like we do CSR, we provide free Wi-Fi at hotspot locations. We look at high traffic locations around town, and we provide free internet for a certain time to all consumers in those locations. So when you have corporate policies and also government policies that come together, that will be used to bridge that divide.
All right, so talking about profitability, definitely if you're going to make profit in a rural area, I guess you'd drive investment there. But generally, how would you describe profitability for your industry, and doing business in Nigeria compared to other climes?
So profitability it's long term. Definitely for anybody in our industry is long term because it's capital intensive. You're going to be spending a lot of capital on infrastructure and other stuff. And it's tough, but you also have costs that you're not, when you go into the business, it's not made abundantly clear. Things like, you come up with like TV license, some municipal permits that you're not aware of. All those things come into play. But with efficiency, with drive, eventually, in the long term, you're going to overcome and you're going to be profitable.
And talking about infrastructural, challenges, faced in Nigeria, how do you think, public-private partnerships can help, in overcoming, most of these challenges in Nigeria?
Okay. So one of our major challenges in Nigeria is the security and safety of the infrastructure, right? And for us, one of them, and it goes beyond actually theft and vandalization. It goes also into the mindset, the awareness of the people of that infrastructure. For example, now, if electricity, everyone is aware of electricity. If your power goes out, you know the impact of power going out, right? You know that this has happened. So the same kind of learning, the same kind of awareness needs to be done for telecom infrastructure, especially fiber infrastructure. So the people also need to become aware. So one of the things we've also done is we will commend the local law enforcement whenever there are, damages, they do respond when we call upon them. And even some of our customers, when they notice that there's maybe construction going on, they do reach out. They say, this is going on here. So more of that awareness, more of people coming together to see that, this infrastructure is what is going to affect your communication and your internet at the end of the day. And keeping an eye on that, it's a huge step.
Right, and we have some, satellite internet service providers that actually operates in Nigeria. So, talk to me about, chatter in your industry. Do you sometimes get afraid, of international competition, as we see it in the country? We're seeing most of them even operate in most parts of Africa too.
Yes. So each technology has its pros and cons, whether it's the fiber, whether it's the satellite, and each, for example, like we said, fiber infrastructure vandalization is a huge issue for it. You look at satellite infrastructure, weather is a huge issue for it. Nigeria and the weather, half of the year we have rainy season. That's going to affect, usage and quality of service. So I think there's room to play. Penetration of fiber and even broadband itself in Nigeria is extremely low. And the better quality, because at the end of the day, competition makes you better. So we welcome it.
All right,
to show
definitely.
differentiation.
We do love, as consumers, we love competition because somehow, that could give us, better prices going forward. But, going forward, the country and this industry, what would you like to see, from the government side of things, to help, boost, quality of service, how you do business and, profitability going forward?
Okay. So the NCC has been working very, very hard lately. I know they've been working together with the federal government to look into some tax reforms and some policies along the way. So they're looking at making sure federal taxes are not also, repeated again on the state levels. So that's going a long way to help. And I'm very sure that, they have it, covered to deliver on what is required. For example, last year they signed the CNI Act, which made telecom infrastructure critical network assets, giving us protection of our infrastructure. Even legally, we can now have recourse to take when there's damages, which wasn't available to us a few years ago.
All right, definitely, and we'll see how growth continues so far, and how we have that handshake between the government and private sector, because we all rely on internet. Even I'm relying on internet right now, having this conversation with you. But thank you so much for coming on today. That was Aisha Abdulaziz, she's CEO, Legend Internet PLC. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, still ahead on Business Morning, we discuss expectations for investor sentiment this week as we brace for April inflation data. That's coming up midweek. Just stay with us.